Everyone is busy going through their busy lives. Sangu steps out of a crowded bus. He seems to be pretty exhausted from his travel. He has to go through this rough bus travel daily because he's commuting from his home. His friend Han Ho makes fun of him because Sung W completed his harsh military service as a Special Forces Reserve Sergeant, and now he can't even bear 2 hours of. Song W gets back at Han Ho by reminding him that he did not even complete his military service because of a girl Ma Young. After hearing this insult, Han Ho becomes completely silent and they head towards their class. On their way, Sangu feels a bit bad about the silence of his friend and asks him if Han Ho is crying. At the top of the library structure, Han Ho gestures upward and informs Sang W that he spotted a message in the sky that said, "Downloading monsters." And as the time hit 100%, that message vanished. Because Han Ho spends much of his time playing video games, Sangu believes that he is depressed about his ex-girlfriend and is seeing strange things in the sky. Han Ho is instructed by Sangu to return to reality, and they both proceed to their separate classrooms. Sangu struggles to keep awake and feels a little lightheaded during the talks. All lights went out suddenly due to a blackout. Suddenly, a system notification appeared in front of the entire class. The system advised users to choose a class that would be useful in the end of the world. Then a 15-second countdown begins, and in front of the class, several skill cards with stars started to surface. Some children froze in fear and begged their fellow classmates not to choose anything since it would be harmful. Sangu has doubts about them and believes that waiting the 15 seconds to choose a card will be much riskier. Sangu attempted to choose a warrior card with 2 stars, but Minsu, a plump child, chose it first and a sword materialized in his hand. In a moment of fear, Sangu chose the card with the most stars at random. He chose a talent card, and it was the 5-star Nero Commander Collapse card. The fat kid was sung after the timer expired. The only person to have selected any cards was Minsu. The new weapon has the chubby Minsu speechless. After a time, a student runs into class with a little goblin-like monster on his back that keeps stabbing the student's shoulder while they both scream for aid, until the goblin murders him in cold blood. He cries out for rescue. Sangu is in the front while everyone else flees from the goblin because they believe it is their time to escape. Because he is the only student carrying a sword, some of his classmates want him to act, but Minsu is a coward and cannot react quickly enough. Sangu agrees that relying on Minsu is pointless and that he must find a way out of this predicament by himself. The goblin plunges towards Sangu with this small dagger. Sangu thinks that he will also be done for if he gets caught up. Like the previous kid that goblin killed, Sangu kicks the goblin with all of his might, which throws the goblin a bit back. Someone realized that the goblin barely felt like it was 30 pounds and he can easily kill it. He grabs a chair and uses all of his strength to shatter the goblin's head. He successfully takes down the goblin, for which the system rewards him with 10 gold. Watching this has surprised everyone. Sangu quickly adjusts to the circumstance and learns that the actual world has become a video game. Song W is informed by an assistant message that he has the ability to command the dead while Sangu is preoccupied analyzing the current scenario. The dead goblin behind him reanimates as a skeleton when he selects the option in his command list for goblin skeleton. He now realizes that he can call the undead creatures using the Neuromaster class. Inside the classroom, there are 2 more goblins, and Sangu orders his undead skeleton to kill those 2 goblins. One goblin is stabbed in the shoulder by the skeleton as it charges at him. The goblin pushes him back since the stab wound is not deep enough. He is attacked by both goblins, who begin to slice off his bones one by one. Sangu believes that in order to assist his skeleton, he must defeat these 2 goblins, but he will require a suitable weapon. He thus begs Minsu for his sword, but the cowardly man refuses him. Sangu tells him to use his blade to peel since he finds him to be really pitiful. Sangu grabs another chair and hurls it at the 2 female attackers of his skeleton. The chair causes the women to recoil a little, and the end skeleton freezes. This chance to end them both with his knife. Sangu receives 20 gold for defeating both goblins. After the fight ended, Sangu received another system message that he has maxed out the number of minions under his. His classmates ask him about what he had done, and he has also no idea about the ongoing events. Other students think that the same thing is happening all over the campus because they can hear screaming voices of others. But when someone who opens the curtains on the windows, he witnesses fires all around the city. Some students decide that they need to leave the campus if they want to survive in the corridor. The encounter of more goblins, which start chasing them, but they are all subdued by U's undead skeleton. He instructs the other pupils to flee as they hold the gate while some Wu skeletons battle the goblin. Some people will also understand that this world is now operating like a game, and that if they keep slaying goblins and leveling up, they can become stronger. In the meantime, one of his underling skeletons is vanquished, and his skull is about to fly at him. He gains a level up and 20 gold since the goblins were worn out and were killed by his 2 skeletons. He may now access his status because he is on level 2. 5 arbitrary skill cards are displayed in front of him in the window, and he may select one to level up. He picked a card that brought his total number of minions up by 1. He can now control up to 4 undead skeletons at once, but he has used up most of his mana because he called up so many skeletons. Sangu looks outside the window, and it seems like the situation outside is worse than the campus itself. While he's going downstairs with the skeletons, Hanho gets freaked out by one of his skeletons and stabs it into. Hanho becomes relieved after seeing Sangu alive. Someone who tells him that these skeletons are part of a skill. Someone asks which class Hanho picked, and Hanho replies that he picked 1-star row class. They are both heading down the stairs with the skeletons, but suddenly a message pops up saying that they have received synergy with a dagger. It turns out that a group will suffer a 10% deadly hit if 5 of its members are armed with daggers, and 10% more money when they come across another group of goblins with a goblin leader among them as they descend the stairs with the skeletons. The goblins are subject to the Scent of Death skill, which reduces their stats by 30%. When there are 4, the Smell of Death is immediately activated. A party had 5 skeletons in attendance. Skeletons begin to assault the goblins, but the goblin chief uses the ability Wild Berserker to strengthen every goblin under his control. As the goblins get stronger, they begin to fight back. The skeletons are aware that they are being forced back due to the goblin chief's abilities, so he ordered one of his skeletons to cut off the arm of the goblin chief, which he's using for the Berserker skill. The skeleton manages to chop off the arm of the chief, which weakens the goblins, and the skeletons finish them off with ease. Goblin chief is enraged, but he's easily killed by the skeletons. Working together, the bracelet that the goblin leader was wearing while utilizing the Berserker talent is given to Sangu along with a one-handed crude spear. He starts to smile a little. It extols one of his skeletons, who then begins making strange, unsettling noises with his. When they get at the university door, they encounter several survivors. Watching them, situation on the entrance doesn't feel any good. They're locked inside the campus and they can't go out. While Sangu tries to head outside using the main door, he's stopped by one of the student council members, Jin-suk, who was previously famous for being a bully and a harasser. He tells them that he's a shield master with 2 stars, and he already killed one of the Go. He further elaborates that everyone with a weapon should work together to defend the other students. Minsu comes running towards Jae-sok and reports that he heard faint sound of goings near the entrance. JSOC orders the students to get inside the cafes. Huey and the other guys who with skills can protect them. Someone tells Han-ho come near the entrance of the gate. They see a message on the entrance that the entrance door has been sealed by a magical force, and they need to defeat the boss monster within 2 hours and 11 minutes if they fail to defeat the monster within a given time frame. The monsters inside the building will grow even stronger. Sangu now understands what has to be done, but Jinsu stops him and orders them to confine the monsters inside until help arrives. Sangu informs Jinsu that it's pointless to wait for a rescue squad because this scenario may be playing out over the entire nation. Jinsu, however, counters by asserting that the monsters are no match for the troops of Korea. Has enough of this bullshit and starts heading towards the stairs, but he's stopped by an approaching group of 5 goblets. Sangu orders his skeletons to come out after watching the skeleton. Everyone freaks out because they think skeletons are part of the monster's unit, but Sangu tells them that they don't need to be scared because they belong to his class, which is stronger than the idiot Jinsu.